What up, what up, what up? Shut up! Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Ask Paul, where we talk about all things National Electrical Code. Of course, you know you can listen to the podcasts on any of your favorite listening platforms. We're on Spreaker, Deezer, iHeartRadio. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. All you got to do is go to your favorite platform and just search for Master the NEC podcast, and you'll see us. You'll know what we look like, and you can listen to all of our episodes on any of your favorite platforms. Now, also, you can get our mobile app. It's free. All you got to do is go to our website, which is fasttracksystem.com, and you'll see the link for the mobile app. But you can also get it on all of our legacy websites as well, our corporate website, electricalcodeacademy.net, .com, .org, all of that. It's pretty much everywhere. But once you get our mobile app, you can listen to the podcast directly on your phone. You can stream it to your Bluetooth device. You can even get into our resources, our calculators for when you're in the field. There's some great calculation softwares that's in there. There's the chat feature we have. You can get to Fast Tracks Tube from there. If you're a Fast Track student, you can even get to your Fast Track course from there. There's even a live chat that we can do inside of the app as well. So there's so many things, and we're constantly adding new features to it. So make sure you get it. It's free. It's not like anything from China. Not going to load any software on your phone. It's simply a link. You just accept it, and it puts a little quick link, and basically it brings up it in a browser that looks like an app, and that's called PWA. So it's an app, and it functions like an app, but it doesn't put all that garbage on your phone. Okay, so it's very light. So it's all based in the cloud. So anyway, check that out. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything to join it. And you won't be bombarded with advertisements and stuff like that. So it's all free. All right, we're going to get into today's episode. Again, sponsored by Electrical Code Academy. If you're interested in electrical exam prep, or you're interested in post-licensing like residential, commercial, industrial, grounding and bonding, electrical theory, some advanced electrical courses, then we have all those, the Magenta, all that. It's all available over at fasttracksystem.com. Check it out. If you have any questions, there's many ways you can reach out to us to ask those questions. We're more than happy to answer them for you. All right, in today's episode, we have a question that was submitted through the portal over at paulabernathy.com, which you all know that it's a free service that we provide. All you got to do is go to paulabernathy.com, and it'll be a simple form there, and you click that submit button, and it'll come right to me directly, and your question will be answered either via email or in a podcast like the one today. And starting on June 28th, we're actually starting up Fast Tracks Live, if you haven't heard it yet. It's a Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. It's going to be a live stream, and we answer questions from the Fast Tracks program. We do some exam prep. We maybe have some guests on from time to time, talk about certain pressing issues. We are coming into getting ready to start the 2026 code cycle again, believe it or not. And, but again, most of you haven't even adopted the 2023. So it'll be a lot of conversations about the 2023 and some of the changes and things like that. So it's going to be a great time for you to join us on Wednesday nights. So make sure you bookmark it. Now, where can you watch us? It's going to be on all of our social media. So if you follow us over on Facebook, if you follow us on LinkedIn, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. Well, no, we're not going to be on Instagram. Sorry. We're not on Instagram or TikTok when it comes to streaming. But if you're over on, now maybe Jay, who does a big thing over TikTok, maybe he will restream our episode on his TikTok channel. Who knows? So then you TikTok folks can watch it. But other than that, we're going to be on just about in our YouTube channel, obviously. And all of them are usually associated with the @Master the NEC. So usually that's our username on most all of those platforms, except for Twitch, which is Electrician Live still. But if you want to listen, that's the best way. It's also going to be streaming as well over on Fast Tracks Tube. So in your navigational bar, for those that are members, you'll see a link under there that'll actually show you the live stream. So you can watch it from there as well. You don't have to be a member to watch it there either. It's just a unique platform, our Fast Tracks Tube. So maybe that's the way you want to watch it. But anyway, there's going to be more than one way to be able to watch us on that Wednesday night. Usually the exam prep stuff, we usually close off on Wednesday night to students only. But we wanted to open it up and create more of a format where they can submit their questions specifically, usually within 24 hours. So for you students out there that are in the Fast Tracks program, remember, if you got questions on your unit, you want to make sure you submit them through the paulabernathy.com portal or directly to us at support@fasttracksystem.com at least 24 hours ahead of time so we can discuss it on the show and get your questions answered. We'll even go into the program and look up and give you the answer to what you're asking, okay? But that's the way you're going to get the support moving forward. Of course, you always have the Sparky Hub. You can post things there as well. All right, I digress. Let's get into tonight's show, and I'm going to read it. It is seems to be two parts to this question, and I haven't looked at this question. I just pulled it up because it's in the queue that's been set up for me. So let me look at it here. It says, "Hi, Paul. This question has two parts." Okay, so it's a two-part question. Part A, what is your opinion of grounding a bus shelter? Okay. Well, it's more to this question, but let me kind of start with this. So to me, when you say grounding, he's definitely wanting to know about your grounding electrode system. Is this a structure, that which is built? And the question is, for me, is what are you bringing to that bus structure? Are you bringing a feeder and you're going to put a panel there? Or are you just bringing a branch circuit there to do some lights? That's going to be key, and we'll talk about that a little later. I'll see what else he's asking here, but that's key to me. Yes, it is a structure, but it is all about what am I bringing to that structure? And that's going to be a real big key for me as we start to dissect this a little more. Okay, he goes on to say, I have two scenarios, one with lights and one without any power at all. Okay, looking at 250.4A4 for a shelter with power and 250.4B4 for one without power. Okay, I'm going to stop right there first. And when I'm looking at 250.4B, he's talking about A4A4. The one thing he's got to remember what he's talking about here is when you're in 250.4, this is general requirements for bonding and grounding. So this happens to be the performance rules. Everything else in 250 is prescriptive, telling you what you do. And this is performance. So 250.4A and B are directing you to, if you do all of the things in the prescriptive rules within the code, you're going to meet the performance requirements of this section, which is .4. So it's not really germane to this question because he's talking about a bus shelter, and the question is the grounding of the bus shelter. So I'm going to tell you, I don't think that 250.4A or B come into play in your question at this stage of the game. Now, when we bring a circuit to that bus shelter, then bonding things together and making sure we have effective ground fault current path, bonding any electrically conductive material, things like that, that's going to have a lot to do with, obviously, the equipment ground and what's brought to the bus structure, okay, the bus shelter. So at this stage, to say that 250.4A4 or 250.4B4, and B is for ungrounded systems, so it's not playing a role here, doesn't really come into play in your question. Okay, so let's get that out of the way first. Okay, now it goes on to say both shelters will be on a concrete slab 18 feet by 8 feet. Would this be considered a structure? Well, yes, it is a structure. Obviously, basically that which is built or constructed. So Article 100, that is a structure. But it's also important to understand what we're bringing to the structure. Okay, let's keep it kind of simple here first. If it's a structure and there's no power running to it, then you don't do anything. It would be no difference than a shed stuck out in your backyard that doesn't have any power at it. You don't do nothing to it. You just leave it alone. It only becomes more complicated when you bring power to it, right? So to answer this first question, 250.4A4 and B4 have really, they're going to be the performance rules, and you're really going to be in 250.4A because this is obviously a grounded system. If you bring that circuit to this bus shelter, then you have to meet those performance rules because of what you do prescriptively throughout the NEC. So that means we got to shift to prescriptive requirements now in order to be able to answer this part of the question, okay? All right, and so now where you end up being here is going to be at 250.32, okay? So this is where you're going to be, and I want to draw your attention because you ask about grounding. I want to draw your attention to A, which is grounding electrodes. All right, so let's look at that first. So here's what it says. If you've got your code book, 250.32A is the general rule. It says a building or structure, which we established this bus shelter is, supplied by a feeder or branch circuit, shall have a grounding electrode system and grounding electrode conductor installed in accordance with Part 3 of Article 250. And of course, Part 3 is going to talk about the different types of electrodes that you have: ground rods, ground rings, plate, UFER. You get my saying. Okay, it says where there's no existing grounding electrode, the grounding electrode required in 250.50 shall be installed. So there's not one there, then it's inherent for you to add one in this case. So that's the general rule. So you have a building or structure and power comes to it. Then you're going to have to establish a grounding electrode system. But there is an exception. And this is what's going to come into play based on what you stated, just some lights is the exception. And that's what I want to read to you. It says a grounding electrode shall not be required where only a single branch circuit, including a multi-wire branch circuit, if that's what you want to run, which could be 2 single branch circuits in it, hence multi-wire, still going to be considered a single branch circuit, even if it's a multi-wire branch circuit, which means you could run I'm just using for illustration purposes, you ran a black, a red, a white that's shared. That's what a multi-wire branch circuit is, sharing the white and an equipment ground, okay? So you basically have red as one branch circuit, black is another branch circuit. So there's technically 2 circuits out there, which people could end up hitting the lights with one and maybe a convenient receptacle with the other. Still obviously have to have disconnects there, which snap switch would work as a disconnect there at that location. But I digress. The point is, under this exception, I could take a single branch circuit, and again, that would include a multi-wire branch circuit, supplying the building or structure, and the branch circuit includes an equipment grounding conductor for grounding the normally non-current carrying metal parts of the equipment. Okay, so that would be of the building itself. Okay, so anything that would be obviously that you could bond to. If you came in, it's a metal structure, it's a metal box with the switches, there's a disconnects in it, and it connects to it, and that makes intimate contact with the frame. Then it's all bonded together, and it's all done by the equipment grounding conductor. And if that's the case, then you would not need to have a grounding electrode system out there. Okay, does that make sense? So it sounds to me like that's what's taking place. You're just taking a branch circuit out there to supply some lights at that bus shelter, and that's it. Okay. So again, hopefully that again solves that, and your equipment ground is going to, if anything gets energized, it's going to allow the equipment ground to do its job, and the overcurrent device, wherever they may be, is going to shut off the power, and everybody's good. And you don't have to worry about any concerns. Okay, that's how it should roll, right? Okay, so that's that one. So let's look at the next. So then there's a Part B. The Part B says, you have sold me. I want to be a paying customer. Oh, okay, I don't guess this relates to the first one. I guess we solved the first one. It says, you have sold me. I want to be a paying customer. What would be the best route? My bio started in the trade in 1970s, apprentice, journeyman, master electrical contractor for 28 years, presently an inspector, plans examiner. What would be the best route for me, keeping up with current code and trying to remember the old code? Thanks. And there you go. Okay, and his name. All right, so great question. You obviously don't need exam prep. But what I would recommend at this stage, since you were a master electrician, I would recommend that you get into our CMECP program. So the Certified Master Electrical Code Professional program is going to cover all the basic code rules. In fact, for those out there that are listening, the CMECP, which is thriving right now, doing wonderful things for the industry, is getting ready to shift to the 2023 edition here in about 2 to 3 weeks. And of course, that's based on when you hear this episode, which is June 24th. But when that shifts to the 2023, that's what we're going to be focusing on, the 2023. Now, as far as remembering old codes, the exams that we do will give you references to the 2023, obviously, but also the 2020 in the test portion of your program. But the CMECP program is going to teach you the newest codes, the new ones. As far as the old codes, again, unless you get into multiple systems that are programs that are dedicated to the old codes, you're best to just keep moving forward. I personally don't always try to remember old codes. That's what we have a code book for. But what we try to do in all of my programs is teach you the code section that's relevant, the one that you're working on now, and we'll also give you a bit of code reference for some of the older codes where germane. But it's basically trying to keep you pressing forward, keep you moving in the latest edition that gets printed by NFPA. And we're on the 2023 right now. So wanting to be ahead of the curve, that's what CMECPs are all about. And so I recommend the CMECP program. It's still going to be the same intense like our fast tracks. It's going to be very time limited. You only get 6 months to complete the online portion. I think you ask any of our candidates, it's quite challenging. Most of them take all of the 6 months to get done. But you will come away with it with a more enhanced understanding of the National Electrical Code. And that's what it's all about. So for you, I recommend the CMECP program, not just so much whether or not you want to be a CMECP, but because it's the best value for what you're going for. And it's really going to test your knowledge. Now, if you feel your knowledge is not up to the challenge for that's fine. Then I still would recommend our Fast Tracks program, the Black, because it is, whether you're taking an exam or not, it is the most well-rounded NEC learning platform out there. And so anything in that keeps you engaged in code, kind of tests you on calculations, keeps you involved, immersed in it. And of course, join our Wednesday night sessions. We're now going to be live, so you can sit in on them on any of our favorite platforms. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, all those platforms. You can watch us now live on Wednesday nights. So you're just going to get more enhanced and you're going to get more knowledge out of it. Really are. So hopefully I've answered that question for you, gave you some insight, folks. Again, if you want to follow us, listen to our podcast and share the love, let people know about it, give us a thumbs up, share it. It really helps us get exposure. Then all you got to do is go to your favorite platform, no matter what it is, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Deezer, what is the other one? Deezer, iHeartRadio. God, there's so many of them. Podbean, all these things. We're on all of those. All you got to do is search for Master the NEC podcast, and you'll be able to find it. All right. Or get our mobile app and you can listen anytime. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. And remember, go to paulabernathy.com, submit your questions. Till next time, take care.